Hello everyone, Henry here from Fully Charged, and today we're going to be talking about these guys, electric cargo bikes, and whether or not they can be a replacement for vans for loads of different businesses to be transporting their goods in and around city centres here in the UK. There are loads of different businesses now that are coming onto this newer form of transport. Why? It's greener, it's cheaper, but actually probably most importantly for businesses, they get their jobs done quicker. Right from sort of big FMCG companies, facilities management groups, logistic heads, right down to sort of smaller SMEs, sole traders, businesses within the hospitality industry as well. So that is why we think that these things are going to be kicking off. You're going to be seeing a lot of them, we hope, in the next couple of years. And actually, a little stat for you, in 2020 alone, there were 2,000 commercial e-bikes that were sold. That's a little stat from Bicycle Association. So we really do think that they're going to be kicking off, and we want to go over the reasons why they actually are better for businesses to be transporting their goods. Now, the first subject is down to speed. Pretty obviously, you want to make sure if you're a business head that you're getting your goods to your customers ASAP rocky, especially when there's the likes of Amazon just bearing down your neck the whole time. Now, actually, a recent stat showed that electric cargo bikes are actually quicker by up to 60% than that of a van in city centres, and actually they have a far higher drop-off speed, and that's actually enabling, on average, 10 parcels an hour to be getting to customers as opposed to 6 that you'd find on a van. So if you want to be getting your goods quicker, you want to be getting them faster to your customers, then e-cargos in city centres seem like they're the way. Now, if we actually look at electric bikes as a whole before going into cargo bikes, one thing that we couldn't actually stop sort of seeing, I suppose, when doing our research is about the advent of all of these personalised delivery services that you just can't help but see everywhere at the moment. The likes of Zap, Gorillas, Wheezy, Deeja, I think there's one more, yeah, Get Here. They're all actually probably in a war with each other at the moment to try and see which one's going to buy out the other. And actually, I'm the target victim because I've pretty much got all of them on my phone because I love food. But one thing that is obviously inherent with all of those businesses is that their business model is all about getting their products as fast as possible to you inside of 10 minutes. I think Gorilla's strapline is faster than you. And that actually just shows what electric bikes are doing as a whole, okay, in order to get people their products quicker and faster. So it's really just skimming the surface. Now, a recent study from Europe estimates that up to 51% of all freighted goods could be replaced by e-cargo bikes in the future. So it's actually not that much of a dystopian image, I suppose, for the likes of the big corporations, the likes of Amazon, the likes of DHL, these huge logistics businesses that are currently using big depots outside of the outskirts of cities like London to actually start utilising the smaller distribution centres that you're seeing from the likes of these personalised delivery platforms to actually facilitate getting stuff to people quicker and doing it in a far more environmentally friendly way. Now, on top of that, cycling infrastructure here in our city centres is rapidly changing. You don't need to be a fool to realise that big swathes of our roads around London are being pedestrianised, okay? And there's only going to be limited buses available and obviously more space for cyclists to go in and out of them. I think last time I was looking this up, there was London Bridge to Shoreditch was started to be pedestrianised. I think it was Old Street to Holborn, and there's also Waterloo to Euston. Now, for all of us who ride bikes here in London, be it a normal bike or be it an electric bike, we all know systematically that it is the fastest way to get from point A to point B without a shadow of a doubt. And that is why it's so great to see companies like EcoFleet today, who've let us borrow their bike, that they are the types of businesses that are taking advantage of all of the stuff that I've just been through there to get products to their customers quicker. Now, the second point we'd like to raise is about the environment. Now, of course, we understand that the EV space and the EV industry as a whole is not blameless, and that's mainly down to the mining of the batteries used to actually end up making the electric bikes. But this completely pales in comparison to the effects that fossil fuels have on the planet. Now, the factors are pretty clear, and a recent study made by our friends at Pedal Me, which you can see in the comments below, stated that an electric cargo bike can save up to 4 tonnes of CO2 over an 100-day period. On top of that, cargo bikes cut carbon emissions by up to 90% compared to diesel vans, and actually up to a third compared to electric vans, and actually significantly reduced the amount of air pollution that we see is ridiculously high at the moment in loads of urbanised areas in London as well. So altogether, an incredibly positive thing for our planet and for our cities. Now let's say that as little as 10% of all kilometres driven in London were made by electric cargo bikes each year, then that could save up to 130,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide that is being emitted each year in this city alone. Now, all of those numbers might be quite hard to wrap your head around, which is completely fair enough. But if we put it into perspective, then actually the introduction of 100,000 cargo bikes in Europe from 2018 to 2020 has saved the exact amount of CO2 than actually getting 24,000 people from London to New York and back. So it just shows just how much you can do environmentally by hopping onto an electric cargo bike. Now, a load of different businesses use carbon offsetting as a solution to help dramatically reduce their effect on the environment. But as we all know, carbon offsetting is not the long-term solution. It's a short-term solution, but it isn't actually a permanent fix. So actually, if you can change your logistics to help dramatically reduce the amount of CO2 you are emitting, as per the stats that I've just said, then you're actually going to end up finally sorting out the problem. Costs. Now, the costs are pretty self-explanatory. The congestion charge is rising. The ULEZ, that's the ultra low emission zone, is expanding, now going to the North Circular and to the South Circular, and all the little bits and bobs that make White Van Man or Men with Ven, hold tight super hands from Peep Show, makes their lives just a lot more of a pain. Parking costs, fines because of parking costs, because you went on a double yellow, insurance, petrol on a weekly basis, all of that stuff is removed with a cargo bike. On top of that, there's loads of different either local or government-backed grants and schemes that you can get out there to make sure that your purchase of an electric bike can be as accessible as possible for your business. Now, lastly, and actually most importantly, is to have a healthier and happier workforce. Now, you hear all kinds of horror stories that are out there at the moment in the press about drivers that are part of 0 hours contracts that have to be in the van for 12 hours. They can't go outside to take a pee or to have something to eat for fear of them not being able to drop off their parcels in time for the day to make their money. And actually, with a cargo bike, that isn't needed, okay? In the city centres, you will be doing your deliveries a lot quicker. And actually, it's a far less anxiety-induced procedure than actually being in a van, okay? You've sort of got white cabin fever, okay, all locked up in a van, whereas actually on a cargo bike, you're taking in the city sites and you get into places A to B a lot quicker, okay? So that is something that you need to bear in mind when looking after your workforce. Now, before you think I'm actually brainwashing you here into thinking that electric cargo bikes are the way, why aren't certain people hopping on board it? And there's probably a few things. Number one, road conditions. They are obviously always improving and there's more infrastructure going in there to make them better, but potholes and stuff like that are a bit of an issue. The weather, okay? Now, obviously, we're in Great Britain, as we all know, the country that we love, pisses it down a lot, okay? But there is no such thing as bad weather, there's just bad preparation. That's what we like to say at Fully Charged. And I suppose the other thing as well is some businesses just can't facilitate cargo bikes. You know, if you're a cement mixer, I don't think you're going to be getting cement into a cargo bike. That's fair enough. And lastly, just the cost, okay? Now, if you want to get a proper cargo bike, they are considered investments, okay? And you do need to look into that. But there are loads of different initiatives out there, be them grants on a more localised level from local authorities and councils, right up to big government-backed schemes, namely from the Energy Saving Trust, that can actually help facilitate you and your workforce to get a cargo bike more accessibly. Now, that is about it from us here today. But the big question, as we had at the start, can electric cargo bikes replace vans in the city centres? And obviously they can, but it does ultimately depend on what type of business you have. Now, we'd love to hear your thoughts and comments about this. Please do put it in the comments. Please do like, subscribe, do all of that jazz. It really does help us out here, and we hope to see you guys very soon. Bye.